Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dark Days video number 2. Tonight we'll be discussing DriveThruRPG and White Wolf's new print-on-demand. DriveThruRPG is winding down its beta test. I believe they've finally released print-on-demand to everyone, and it's on their website in a nice little flash banner. And I recently just received my first shipments. That's what we're going to be discussing. I got Block by Bloody Block, the Vampire Player's Guide, and the Victorian Age Companion. So obviously I only got White Wolf books, and as it turns out, two of these, the Vampire Player's Guide and the Victorian Age Companion, were not approved for release. Despite that hiccup, which has since been amended, I found that the process was easy to use on the customer end, and the books are good quality, just to cut to the chase. So when you go in and you're doing ordering, picking out a print-on-demand book is just like buying a PDF. Now there's just a radio button that you click on the product's page, and you can select print, PDF, or a bundle. The only problem right now is actually finding the items that are in print. There's no icon or anything to make it easy to notice, so you have to click on each product's page to find it. Or the easier way is to actually go in and do an advanced search. You can select print books, you can select the company, say White Wolf, and that'll bring up all their printed books, which can be useful. It's also pretty nice because the checkout tells you if it's a scanned copy, and that can kind of give you a heads up. So once you do your order, it's sent to Lightning Source, and they're the guys who print it and ship it to you. Now, shipping is cheap and fast, at least for the US. My order was 3 books, and the shipping was about $6.50. And it was pretty quick. It took about 2 or 3 days to print. Actually, they printed the Vampire Player's Guide and the Victorian Age Companion, sent those to me, and then the next day they printed the Block by Bloody Block and sent that to me. And then shipping took about 4 or 5 days. This is actually in the Christmas holiday season, so that took a little while. So when you look at these books, first thing you're going to see is, of course, the cover. I've actually had some bad experiences with print-on-demand covers. I think they actually came from Lulu, and they would like smudge, especially if you like put them in your backpack or something. It was pretty disastrous, really. But these are pretty good. What I did last night was I took my Victorian Age Vampire Companion and then started to rub the back by the barcode right here, and then I was just trying to see if it would like delaminate or something or start to smudge. No problems, as you can see. It's still just fine, and pretty durable too. Another thing you might notice when you're looking at these is that they now have a little POD symbol on the back, right there, and that kind of denotes if it's a print-on-demand product. So maybe if they start reprinting old stuff, instead of being like the old first edition copy, you'll be able to know that it's a print-on-demand. I'm also a little curious if that POD logo is going to be appearing on the final templates for some old World of Darkness products. It hasn't appeared on these, but of course they were not meant for release. The other thing you'll notice is that the stock of the cover is thinner than the old World of Darkness books. It's fairly noticeable, but it's not a big deal. You just have to be slightly more careful with these than, of course, your old copies. Now, the spine of the book is a matter of some contention right now. If you look at the Vampire Player's Guide, it looks just the way it should. No real problems. It's a little skewed, I noticed, but that's just a error with the printing. But when you look at Block by Bloody Block, there's nothing on the spine. So when you put this on your bookshelf, how are you going to know which book it is? And word on the street is that the new vampire book, well, not new, but new POD vampire book, New Wave Requiem, doesn't have that text on the spine either, which is kind of a big deal because this is going to be showing up in bookstores for New Wave Requiem. So I think that this is an issue with the printer, that the books are too thin to have a spine. It'll just be skewed or might show up on the back or the front cover, so they don't want to go forward with that. But it's kind of annoying for us that like to have a big collection on the shelf. It's gonna be tough when we have a lot of print-on-demand books to figure out which book is which. However, it's not too big of a deal in hindsight, because some books, such as Fountains of Bright Crimson for Dark Ages Vampire, they don't have that spine text either. This is actually a saddle stapled book. So, as you can see, you know, you win some, you lose some. The precedent is already there. Now, looking at the interior, let's focus on Block by Bloody Block, because this is the book that's approved for release, and you can get it off the website right now. So, let's get this a little closer here. You can see that you got some pictures right here. You've got some nice grayscale with the top. You can see the borders all around. Very, very well balanced, well printed. Ink isn't like flaking off or anything. Everything looks good. So that's pretty nice. But there is one niggling problem I noticed. So you can see up top here that there's actually a this white bar, which is because the template only extends up to here, and then there's just like extra paper, which is kind of nasty. It doesn't look good because it's not even. Here it's maybe like a 1/4 inch. Towards the back of the book, it's much thinner. It's only maybe a 1/16 of an inch, so it's uneven. You can actually look right here. You can see that in the middle it's very big gap, and then towards the end, smaller. So that's not really that good. But originally I thought it might be a template problem, might be White Wolf's fault. But I grabbed a copy of Machine Zeit by David Hill. Isn't this great product placement right here? He's been on our show to advertise this. And they have got the same problem. It's actually worse here, because you can see it's on the top, it's on the side, but you don't see anything on the bottom. It actually goes to white right there. But there is, on some pages, there's a little bit of white on the bottom. So that's pretty noticeable, unfortunately. Now, there is kind of a silver lining to this, and fans of Vampire the Masquerade are going to be pretty excited, because I don't think anyone wants me to show you this, but here's a softcover copy of the Vampire Player's Guide, which we haven't heard anything about. We didn't know this was going to be released until it was kind of leaked accidentally. When you look at this, well, you don't have to worry about all that white space because it's already white. So this printing error, if it persists, which I hope it won't, doesn't really matter for these Vampire the Masquerade books, which is pretty exciting. So we are good to go as Masquerade fans. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll be back to talk about the new Darker Days contest. So DriveThruRPG actually offered to refund me for the 2 unapproved books I received. But instead, I spoke with Matt McElroy, and we decided it'd be pretty cool to have a Darker Days contest, so that you listeners can check out the POD titles for yourselves. But first, what do we need from you? Well, Darker Days number 22 looks like it's going to be a monstrous episode, because we're going to rapid fire through every World of Darkness game line, new and old. The problem is that the Darker Days hosts aren't well versed with all these games, so we're turning to you fans to help represent the games you love. What we need is either a 300 to 500 word write-up or 5 to 7 minute recording for each game you'd like to submit. Also, feel free to include a shout out to your troop, your LARP group, or even the people you play V-Test with. I'd recommend you use the limited time or word count to highlight the Splats archetype, the political factions, the antagonists, and even the themes and mood of the game. You can submit your entry to either the WGPRN forums, the Darker Days Video 2 thread, Or if you have an MP3, send it to darkdaysradio@gmail.com. So, what are the prizes? We have 3 $10 gift cards to DriveThruRPG. One will be awarded to the best written submission. One will be awarded for the best audio submission. And finally, one will be awarded to whoever submits the most submissions that we use in the episode. So there you go. 2 prizes for quality, 1 for quantity. You can also win multiple prizes. I'm okay with that. And WGPRN staff are definitely invited to participate. So we need all these submissions by February 4th. So you better get crack-a-lackin'. There you have it. That's the contest. I hope you enjoyed checking out the print-on-demand books. I'm pretty excited to see what White Wolf is going to put out next. Well, the next episode is going to be Requiem for a Masquerade Part 3. It's going to be pretty exciting. Another audio thing for you guys. So that's all we got for now.